Coming up on this episode, hi, my name's Dan Keane. I'm a composer, producer and musician based in London. If I were to poll a group of composers and ask them which sample instrument type would you be most tempted to pick up yet one more of, it would probably be a piano. See, pianos are all different and they come in different shapes and sizes, and the rooms they're placed in make them sing differently. Sure, ultimately, a piano is a piano, but it represents a familiarity that is instantly recognisable. It recalls something from your childhood or that wall in your living room that would look strangely empty without it. And I think it's that familiarity that draws us back to the piano every time we sit down to compose a piece of music. We mock up non-piano parts on keyboards. So we acquire huge collections of these things with which we hope to make something even more intimate, even bigger, even smaller. Now, having exhausted the options list out there, and there are thousands, you may feel you've won. I can confirm with good authority that I have all I need. I don't need to buy another piano ever again. That is, of course, until a company comes along and does something totally different with it. And today, Fracture Sounds may well claw you back to buy another piano once again. And here it is, it's called Glacier Keys. Now basically, this is the Midnight Grand. It's the same piano in the same hall, but it's just the harmonics. So they've dampened the string slightly to bring out these natural harmonics. We've got 13 round robins, which is a lot, and 4 velocity layers. And we've also now got some additional mic positions. So whereas before it was just the single kind of raw samples and then the added layers here, we've now got this extra mic mixer mode, which kind of gives you a little bit more control. And I also really like this. You can sort of fade between the close and the far perspective. So that's really nice as well. Of course, we'll go in depth with all of this. If you've seen any of my videos in the past where I've done overviews of Fracture Sounds products, you'll know the kind of way I'm going to go about this already. I'm just going to go through playing the instruments, playing with the preset. I've already added one custom preset, which I'll go back into in a minute, but we've also got some additional instruments here as well. So I hope to kind of give you a quick tour, and then next week sometime I hope to create a piece of music using this and some other instruments from Fracture Sounds that they've sent me, just to help out with their promo a little bit. I'm not really affiliated with Fracture Sounds, but they did send this to me for free, and they sent it to me back in December and kind of wanted my thoughts on it. So I guess off the bat you'll know that I like it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm endorsed by them by any means. So anyway, this is just the kind of default patch. I'm just going to start playing and see what I think. Okay, so right off the bat, it's so interesting, isn't it? It's almost strange how interesting it is, because I think the Midnight Grand, if you've played it or if you've heard it in my other reviews, you'll know that it has a very kind of almost inverted sound to it. If I just open up the Midnight Grand quickly, you sort of get the buzz of the felt and then the note. Whereas this, you get barely any felt. And then it's just this sort of nutty, bitey attack, which is just, I've never heard a piano sound like it. Now, as with the other instruments in this range, I suppose, of pianos, we've got these layer mixes between raw and then the added pads. So if I just mute the added layers for now and just play the raw on their own. So it's very clean sounding, but it does have some decent sustain as well. Now, I guess you know going into this that it's going to favour those higher frequencies slightly more than the lower ones, so this feels very natural. And even higher than that. Whereas down here it has a slightly more kind of brittle quality. Anyway, we really must push on. So we've got this glisten layer. Which almost sounds like kind of meditation bowls. We've then got this frost layer. Which has the kind of crystallizer, 1 octave down feel to it. Which might redeem some of the lack of warmth that we get from the raws. Good to know. We've then got this Thor layer underneath, which again is very warm. And so as we start to integrate these layers in with the main piano samples, we get this beautiful sustain that does compensate well for the lack of warmth. But of course we can dial this down, turn up the glisten a little bit, and then turn it into this sort of icy shower, really. Now, this atmosphere intensity basically changes how excitable those added pads are. So if I just play a chord, versus if I were to turn this down a bit, it feels a little bit more subdued. Now, you can also control this using your mod wheel. So this is almost a little bit like a high-pass filter, really. I like it around the middle somewhere. Stereo width is fairly self-explanatory. If you put it down to -50, it is actually mono. Except for the pads, so it's just the raw layers that are in mono there. And then if we push it up to 50, we get this slightly out-of-body feel, so I actually prefer it down on 0. Now, for my kind of taste, my kind of compositional style, I actually prefer a bit more thud, which is where this colour comes in. So if I turn it all the way up, as soon as I bring it down, it's a much kind of duller, more intimate sound. Now that's quite dark for my liking, so I prefer it on about -25. Then we've got our key releases. This is all about sort of when you release the note. We've got the pedal noise. And then the resonance is interesting. As I hold the pedal down, I get this resonance that kind of holds over a little bit longer. You can hear it kind of glowing a little bit afterwards. And then we've got reverb controls. Now this is quite interesting. We have a little bit more control here with our reverb IR. So we've got 7 different reverb options. At the moment it's set to clear hall, but they all do something a little bit different. So now I'm just going to go into the mic mixer just so you can kind of appreciate how different each set of microphones is. So I'm going to start with the close mics, and these just deliver such a direct sound. Just going to turn down the key releases here. Particularly in the higher up registers. You can imagine it taking really well to an echo. Now the mid mics are aptly named, I think, because not only are they in the middle of the room, but they also sound quite mid-rangey, and they also sound like they're right in the middle of the stereo image. It's not very wide. Have a listen. But if we then dial in the close mics, we start to get a bit more of the width we might expect. Now these far microphones are way at the back. And you might not think they make much of a difference, but as I pull it in, you'll just feel the sense of the room growing slightly. Just going to keep it on the raw signal for now. It sort of feels a little bit like the sort of sympathetic resonance that you get from this pedal resonance control. Just helps the chords to glow for a little bit longer. Now I still need to show you these other layers. We've got By the Fire, which on its own just sounds like this. Really, really beautiful. It's got the warmth to it. There's a nice kind of 800 hertz sort of bite that I actually really, really like. This one's called Forgotten Voices. Which I also really, really like. So it's got that really slow attack to it, but the sustain is really nice as well. I think Will has done an excellent job on the programming in this. The production is really, really lovely. This is the Funky EP. So we've got the small plate reverb this time, so it has that feeling of a sort of clavin over, I suppose. Cool. Ice planes. Next I'm going to show you Underwater. If you pull the colour up here, you get the best of both worlds, really. And the pads are just something else. If you turn off the raw, next we've got soft, which, to be honest, isn't quite as soft as I thought it might be. And then instead of clicking on muted, I'm gonna go to my preset that I've saved for it, because this is my favorite. This would be my reason for buying it. So, what do I think of this piano? Well, if you've already got the Midnight Grand or the Woodchester, I think it would provide a nice accompaniment to it. If you're looking to steer in the direction of the hybrid scoring zeitgeist that we're currently experiencing, I think it really could be an interesting one to have. I do think this hybrid scoring thing is interesting, and next week, as I mentioned in the intro, I'd like to make a video showing how I would use this alongside pianos and other instruments to create something. You know, most pieces I work on nowadays, if it's got a piano in it, it's not just a piano. It's a piano and a soft pad underneath, or it's drums and some rhythm guitars, or it's a singer and a synth underneath it. You know, so many things these days require lots of small elements that build together that kind of help to make each element stand out. I guess, you know, I was making a video thumbnail earlier, and I guess it's a bit like taking an element and putting a kind of drop shadow behind it. You know, it just helps to give it a canvas to sit on. And this Glacier Keys instrument might be that for you. Personally, I really like it. I think I will use it quite a bit. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to take you through this first look of this instrument. It lands today, so download it if you'd like to. I think it's £69, which is the same price as the Midnight Grand. So yeah, let me know what you think, and subscribe if you haven't done already. Lots of exciting things to come, and I'll see you all very, very soon.